up on Ellensbrook Road. And, oh, I'm getting some back feed here. It must be back working again. And, you know, there's certainly some people with some, what's going on?
Sorry, Councillor Earl, it's a bit loud, isn't it? It appears that our tech's now working really well. So carry on.
I've got a loud enough voice, I'll sit back here and talk to. And that's probably the only other site that we're getting any sand for fill. And you know, when we, you know, if for some reason that gets knocked back or restricted or however, or when that runs out, where are we going to find our sand? And it's the same here with the lime sand. If you have a look through the people who put in submissions, you'll see that the farmer people from down were saying, please, we need this because we need an alternative to a lime sand supply to put on the farms, because it's a significant product to look after our lands. And we bang on about it here, about this regenerative agricultural stuff, which is a bit of a slight at some of the farmers who have been doing all this stuff under a different name all their life. So if we don't have it here, the only one is the Niels. That's under a different licence, so that'll probably be around forever. But it doesn't give people a really good opportunity to see where the price is sitting. So that's always critical to farmers. And with all of these other things, if you're going to start to bring lime sand from out of the Shire, think about the carbon miles that you're doing to this. It's expensive to transport all of this stuff. My question is, where the hell are we going to find it? The only lime products you're going to find in our Shire are probably sitting under the Lewin Nat. Some of these places that are cleared, there was the Lewin Sands that was across the road that ran for a number of years. They at least provided an alternative to fill sand for the housing that's going on flat out around our Shire at the moment, and they provided some of the road-based type materials that we need. That's coming out of Capel. Add that up at 20 or 30 cents a tonne to the kilometre to get it down to here. It's expensive. They're the thoughts. Merry Christmas, everyone. Good to see a great crowd out to come and talk to us listen to us on the last day of our meetings. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Earl. Does anyone else wish to speak for or against this item? Well, I'll just mention a couple of things. I think it's important to note, and I don't think I need to go into the planning reasons why we are supporting this RAR. It's very clear through state and our local strategy and policies. But it's clear that this council is passionate, this community is passionate about preserving our natural beauty and the resources of this Wadandi Budja for this generation and for many future generations. And it's really important for us as the decision makers, whilst we're not in this case, of course, but to ensure that development within this region in our Shire does not come at the expense of our environment. It must be balanced with the preservation of our iconic landscapes, and this is one most significant iconic landscape, we can all agree, I think, in our Shire. And it's really so critical to the identity of the AMR Shire, particularly its location on Caves Road. So I'm pleased to see that Council is supporting this motion in its entirety, and I think we play a role in continuing to advocate, particularly to our higher powers of government, that we should have a voice on behalf of our communities for the bad behaviour of some local governments. Unfortunately, it's affecting us all, and to disempower and to silence our community and our councils who are representing you is a great disappointment, and it seems the way that the state government's heading further and further. So, I'll continue to stand up for our council and our community to push back on that. Councillor Muir, would you like right of reply?
No, thank you. I think enough has been said. I think we've all really clearly articulated how important it is to stand up for our environment and our sense of place and identity. And I do agree with Councillor Earl that it is an important resource, but it was interesting to note the proponent saying that this would be supplied across the southwest. I think we do need to decide where are some areas where we can mine and some areas where it's just not appropriate. And I think this is a case where it's just not appropriate. This cannot be replaced, and that's clear.
Thank you, councillors. We'll now put this to the vote. All those in favour? It's carried unanimously. Thank you. Well, now I believe we have to move a procedural motion to go back to the order of business. Councillor Earl moves that, and a seconder, Councillor Binks. Thank you. If anyone wishes to leave, you may do so, or you can hang around. Up to you. Thanks, folks, for coming out tonight. Okay, so we just have to vote on that procedural motion, councillors, to go back to the order of business. Okay, that's carried unanimously. So, therefore, we will now deal with, and Binks was the, yeah. So, councillors, we'll now move back to 11.2.1, which is the safer speeds trial. Do I have a councillor to move a motion? Councillor Earl, officer's recommendation? Yep, and a seconder, Councillor Boland. Councillor Earl?
Yeah, thank you very much, and I very much do support this safer speeds trial, even though it's probably going to restrict me in the times that I'll get down to the beach or wherever it goes. And over the last week or so since it's been coming around, I've been driving in it there at about the speed limits that's going to be required of me to get to the beach, and it doesn't make much difference, and it does feel a bit safer. And I think as a council and a community and as a group, and thanks very much to the RSC for their very strong input in this. I think there's times when communities have really got to start to look at what we do around our speed in our communities. And I'm really pleased to see that this is quite broad across our community where the speeds are going to come down. You know, it's not the speed that hurts people. It's the stop and what you stop up against, which that does the damage. You can see the amount of people that have been killed or injured, and you know, once they're dead, they're gone. But once they're injured, some of those people will be around injured for the rest of their lives, and causing them grief and their families grief as it does. So I'm really pleased to see it. I think as a community we've got to take this leap, and certainly hope Busselton. I'm not sure if Busselton supported it yet or not.
Councillor Earl, Busselton haven't yet considered this item. They'll be dealing with it in January.
Oh, thank you.
We've been told.
Well, hopefully they'll follow our lead as they normally do, which is pretty good. But I guess sometime down the track, I think there's other things we probably should look to. We need to run through this process. I think there's a real case that our dormitory suburbs should be 30 kilometres an hour or less. You know, I've got a street where I've got grandchildren living in, where there's about 8 or 10 of them up and down the street all the time, and you know, they run a kid over at 50 or 40, it's still going to hurt badly. So I think that's the sort of stuff we need to look at. But this is a really good start for us over the next 3 years. It's a bit like everything, isn't it? You know, not everybody's going to drive at the right speed, but most of us will obey the law. Most of us wear our seatbelts. And that law's been for 50 years this year. 25% of people killed in road car crashes are not wearing a seatbelt. Perhaps eventually that'll sort that out, because natural selection will sort that out down the track. But you still have to wonder why people will not wear their seatbelts in cars. This after 50 years, you know. And I listen to a policeman talk. So the other 30% of people that get killed is people on motorbikes. Generally old blokes like me and others, but I don't have a motorbike. So some of those things I think need to be addressed, because there are a significant body of people. Significant amount of people who are being killed on motorbikes, which is about 30%. when there are about 3% of the vehicles on the road. So there are other things for us, but right at the moment we're here to deal with this, our safer speeds trial. I fully endorse it. I'll be working hard to make sure my muscle memory doesn't tell me to do 80 kilometres an hour when I've now got to do 60 or 70, but time will work that out as it goes by, and probably a couple of fines for a few people. But well done, thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Earl, for your savvy safety statistics. Councillor Boland, do you wish to speak?
Yes, thank you, Madam President. I was going to mention the ELGA conference that you mentioned earlier. ELGA, for those who don't know our acronyms, Australian Local Government Association, and each year they hold a Roads and Infrastructure Congress in a regional destination, and Mr Hicks will probably be pleased to know that they were blown away by our facilities, our beautiful countryside, and the food and wine that they consumed. And
Councillor Boland, you are addressing this motion, aren't you, in regard to the RAC Safer Speeds trial?
I'm getting there, yes.
Please do so.
Yes.
Thank you.
But I thought, some bouquets for us is probably a good thing to hear. But back to the motion. I was surprised, actually, at the Congress how much of it was taken up with the issue of speed on roads. There was presenter after presenter talking about that, and we people are looking at us about what we are doing here, because this is the largest trial in Australia. There's been other trials, but we're really leading Australia in what we're doing here. Another thing I'll mention is that I did ask one of the presenters, because a lot of the presentations were around the safety aspects of safer speeds, lower speed limits. And I said, are there other benefits? And the presenter said, yes, there are many, particularly, well, if you're driving at a lower speed, you're using less fuel, which means less emissions. But there's also been plenty of research done around that means less wear and tear on your vehicle, less wear and tear on your roads. So there are many other benefits to what we're doing here. So yes, look forward to this coming online fairly soon. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Boland. Do any other councillors wish to speak against or for this item? Councillor Dath? For, yes, go for it, Councillor Dath.
Yeah, just add a couple of comments. On the weekend we just had, there were 7 fatalities on our country roads in WA. So I think this is a really timely, decision for council to be endorsing this plan. And we are really lucky to be given this opportunity. Like, this is actually quite an expensive process. And the fact that we're getting this amount of funding from the RAC to be able to implement these rather broad or large, sweeping reduction in speed across our whole shire is amazing. Mention the question we got in the public question time. I think it is a really great start, and I really, I like the idea coming from the community, them suggesting some other ones that we can implement, and that we see that this isn't just, that's it, this is all we're doing, but like Councillor Earl mentioned before, maybe bringing other ones down even further in the future, and also including those ones that the community brings to our attention during this trial. So yeah, I really thank everyone involved, and I'm really happy that this is something that we're going to be rolling out really soon.
Thank you. Councillor Binks.
Thank you. I had a phone call today with a ratepayer just questioning the trial aspect of this and how this would be measured and what is going to define a success or a failure of this. And so I went back through again through the proposal, and I'm pleased to see that there are specified metrics under which this trial will be measured, including crash reduction, speed, crash risk reduction, community perceptions, benefits, and adverse impacts. And then all of those things, it'll go to consultation again, but it'll all be measured. So this is just a trial. Let's give it a go. and see what the outcome of it is. If it's no good, we can throw it out. If it works, we can adopt it.
Thanks, Councillor Binks. Councillor Muir?
Thank you, Shire President. And I just very briefly to add, I've been really pleased to see the general positive support from our community. I think that's something that wasn't necessarily expected by RSE and other members involved, other stakeholders. So it does show something special about our community too. So I thank them for embracing this trial.
Thank you, Councillor Muir. Councillor Keno.
I don't want to be left out. I'm grateful for the RAC for recognising our region as an area where we can trial these things, and I think that it's fantastic. And obviously, as we had from the community tonight, if this works, then we will have the ability to apply it to further areas within our region. And yeah, I'm super excited about it, and again, really grateful that we've been chosen as part of a trial. Thank you.
Thanks, councillors. In closing, I guess it's important to note the facts, and that is that between 2019 and 2023, there were 59 humans either killed or seriously injured on roads in the Augusta Margaret River Shire. And, you know, the data shows that a 10% decrease in speed can save, I think it's, 30% of, you know, the risk in those accidents, in those high-speed environments. Pleased to see that there's a significant network of 550 roads included in this trial, and to acknowledge, as you mentioned, Councillor Muir, the community support for this trial is, you know, clearly significant and relevant in terms of its success. I feel that we will see over the next 3 years. And I think it's really important to highlight, because, you know, those in our community or visitors that are not in favour of this trial, one of the reasons sometimes can be the increased time. But the fact is, like, that as we saw in the report, I think it was an average of 62 seconds more time. You know, I think one of the roads, it was 84 seconds more to get from A to B. So really, it's insignificant. If you don't have 82 seconds in your day, then it's maybe time to stop and take a little breath and, slow down a bit. So I'm really proud of our council to be, you know, going ahead with this trial. It's a really innovative trial, and I hope that it encourages other local governments around WA, particularly regional areas that have a significant amount of road deaths or serious injury in regards to speeding, to follow our lead. So let's vote on it, councillors. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Thank you very much. Councillors, we now move into 11.2.2, which is the Climate Action Plan Part 2 towards resilience. I believe there may be a procedural motion. Is there, Councillor Binks?
Yes, there is.
Okay, and that was to defer this item for a councillor workshop in the new year, is that correct?
Shire President, it is my intention to move a procedural motion to defer 11.2.2 Climate Action Plan till the OCM in March 2025 to allow councillors further opportunity to consider the implications of this item, workshop, and seek further information from staff.
Okay, councillors, we'll need a seconder. So that's Councillor Muir, and there's no debate on this item, so we'll put it to the vote. All those in favour? Sorry, how many hands in favour? That's 5, and then those against? That's 2. So that carries. Thank you, councillors. So we'll deal with that item in the new year, in 2025. We'll now move on to item 11.2.4. Okay, councillors, we now move to 11.2.4, which is a scheme amendment number 77 to LPS 1 Lot 2 Fisher Road, Kadada. So do I have a councillor to move a motion in regards to this item? Councillor Earl, and that's the officer's recommendation, is it? Yep, okay, and a seconder? Councillor Daff, thank you. Councillor Earl? Councillor Daff? Does any other councillor wish to speak against this item or for this item? No, we'll put that to the vote. All those in favour? That's carried unanimously, thanks. We'll now move on to item 11.2.5, which is the RFT Alexander Bridge Design and Construct Finger Jetty, Swimming Stairs and Log Armouring. Councillors, do I have someone to move the motion? Councillor Muir, officer's recommendation as written, is it? Yes, and a seconder, Councillor Keno. Do you wish to speak to that?
Well, thank you. I'm really pleased to see this happening. Alexander Bridge is a much loved area, has high environmental value and recreational value. So I'm looking forward to this happening.
Thanks, Councillor Muir. Councillor Keno? Would any other councillor like to speak against this item or for this item? Or just quickly, councillors, I'm pleased to see this at this stage. It's a project that we've identified in the strategic planning and that overall concept plan, which I'm really pleased we did a couple of years ago. So it's great to move through this process step by step. I support this recommendation. So we'll put it to the vote. All those in favour? That's carried unanimously. Now move to 11.3.1, which is the annual report 23-24. Do I have a councillor to move a motion? Councillor Keno, that's the officer's recommendation. Yes, and a seconder. Councillor Muir. Councillor Keno. Councillor Muir.
I'd just like to say congratulations to everyone involved in producing the annual report. It was really well done across so many areas, and it's great to reflect on a year of achievement, and many things stood out to me, but I did really think the regional regenerative ag conference was fantastic. The shorebird programs, the heart, so many different areas, and it just highlights, I guess, all the different touch points that our Shire staff have across so many areas, and yeah, thank you for their hard work.
Thank you, Councillor Muir. Councillor Boland?
I'd like to move an amendment.
Yes?
Sorry.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thanks, Councillor Boland. You've got an amendment?
Yes.
Okay.
The amendments are to make a few changes. Would you like me to address those now?
Okay. Councillors, has everyone seen these amendments? They're quite administrative, really, in context. Councillor Boland?
Oh, well, it's I sent these through yesterday, and then the director concerned, Mel Stevens, responded today. It was just, this is our report, just handing our report.
Sorry, hold on. We just need a seconder before you speak to it.
Okay.
So can I get a seconder for that? I'll second it.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, Councillor Boland, you can speak to your amendment.
Yes, just making our report more understandable, I thought. So there's additional content. It's on the screen. That on pages 17 and 18 of the report, content outlining the appointment and term. It says term expiry date of each elected member on 30 June 2024. B on pages 17 to 18, content outlining the reasons for changes in elected member position holders during 2023-24. C, page 14, amending the area of the Shire to read in square kilometres rather than hectares. D, on page 18, to include gender, country of birth, native language and age group for elected members who held positions during 2023 but were not elected members on 30 June 2024. Would you like me to speak to those?
Yes, just briefly, if you could, thanks. I think it's quite self-explanatory. I don't think it's necessary actually to speak to it unless you.
It was
Yeah.
just so that
I'm happy to.
Yeah, it was just so that our report was accurate. I
Yes,
thought
of course.
there was mention of 8 councillors instead of we have a directly elected Shire President for the first time and 7 councillors. So I thought it'd be more accurate if we were saying what the situation was about now having a Shire President, and then we have backfilling for the first time. So there's been 2 backfill positions during that year. So this is quite an historical record. People quite often go to the annual report to see what has happened in a place, and also, but I think the best of it is correct. And then the kilometres versus hectares, minor detail, but just where the previous year we had in square kilometres, which I think is much more understandable. And then we do have to include gender, country of birth, native language and age group for elected members. That is a requirement for the annual report. And we weren't including those that had served, including Councillor Christopher Nini, who served almost all of that year. So I thought it'd be better if we were including those things because the state commission is looking for diversity in council representation, and that would show a greater degree of diversity of our elected members. So,
thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Boland. Look, I'll second this amendment in that it's stating the facts, and I guess if I was to look at this interesting document in 10 years or request my daughter or someone to look at it, I would like it to be accurate. So thank you for those administrative corrections. Anyone else wish to speak against it or for it? Yes, you have a question, Councillor Datt.
Yeah, I just have a question about D. So you're saying that you want everyone that served on council in that entire year, and that the current little infographics are only about who was in on the 30th of June, and you want to change to include all, or the other way around?
To
clarify that, Councillor Boland,
to have
just quickly.
all that served during that year.
All that served during that year for that annual report.
Yes, so it will then show that there were members who were born in South Africa and Zimbabwe and Chile, and the language Spanish. It shows.
So it is a requirement. I understand that the Part D is actually a requirement of the Act, so it's just correcting that in the annual report. Has that answered your question, Councillor Datt?
Yeah, it's just the infographics I thought reflected some of that, so maybe they're just missing a couple of points. Because I thought the infographics already reflected ones that had held, but anyway, it's...
Is that right?
Yeah, I'm fine. I just wanted to clarify for me.
Thank you.
All year or just on that date.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Binks, do you wish to speak?
Yeah, I'd like to speak in support of the amendment because it is true the devil is in the detail, and years down the track it may well be that somebody would like to drill into the detail and find out what the devils were.
Okay. Councillors, is there anyone else that wishes... Councillor Earl, you wish to speak for?
No, a question.
Oh, yes.
Of the CEO. Are these amendments required?
To represent in the annual report. I don't think it's specified, but we can certainly include it if that is council's wish.
Okay.
Thank you. Then I'll speak against the amendment.
Okay, Councillor
I
Earl.
just think this is nitpicking and we shouldn't be doing it. I think the report is excellent. We should just leave it as it is.
Okay, does any other councillor wish to speak for this item or against? Well, we'll put it to the vote, councillors. All those in favour? That's carried 6-1, Councillor Earl against. That now becomes part of the substantive motion. Councillor Kenno, I don't believe you spoke to that one. No, would you like to? Okay. Councillor Muir, would you like to? Anyone wish to speak against this motion? Or for? We'll put it to the vote. All those in favour, carried 7-0. Thank you very much. We now move on to item 11.3.2. This is in regards to leasing of the Narrabeen shed. Do I have a councillor to move a motion? Councillor Dath, Councillor Muir to second. So that's the officer's recommendation to confirm as written. Yep. Okay, that's there in front of us. Okay, Councillor Dath, do you wish to speak to that?
Just to quickly say, I think the successful applicants are a great organisation and were the best ones that put it in. So I'm happy with the recommendations and, yeah, look forward to the fact that we can support them with this.
Thank you. Councillor Muir?
I concur with Councillor Dath. Excuse me, I'm losing my voice. I am really pleased to see this organisation being able to lease the shed because they obviously don't have other facilities, and I know from my other job we're regularly called by people who are trying to rehabilitate animals, and the volunteers do an amazing job. So I think it's great and it's going to them.
Thank you, Councillor Muir. Do I have a councillor to speak against this or for it? In conclusion, councillors, I'm pleased to see 5-year agreement. I think that's a good amount of time as opposed to some of our leases are 10. I think that, a lot can change in a decade, as we've seen. And of course, the peppercorn rent is adequate. It's clearly a sought-after location, but I feel that this is going to the right organisation, so I support this. Let's put that to the vote. Councillors, all those in favour? Carried unanimously. We now move on to 11.3.3, which is the financial activity statement for October 2024. Do I have a councillor to move a motion? Councillor Keno, moving the officer's recommendation, and Councillor Binks. Councillor Keno, Councillor Binks. We'll put that to the vote, councillors. All those in favour? It's carried unanimously. Thanks. We now move on to 11.3.4. which is a review of council information sessions policy. Do I have a councillor to move a motion? Councillor Binks, thank you. Councillor Dath, seconding. Councillor Binks, do you wish to speak to that?
No, I'm happy with the officer's report.
Okay, and Councillor Dath, do you wish to speak to that?
Yeah, I'll just say that I think the information sessions policy changes were quite well captured by staff after our concept forums that we had. So I think that they've articulated what the council suggested during those information. So I'm happy with where it sits.
Thank you, councillor. Anyone to speak against it?
Yes, amendment.
Okay, propose an amendment.
Which I did circulate,
Yes.
and that would be that in added 2D to the attachment, the councillor information sessions policy, that pre-meeting agenda reviews will ordinarily be held 1 week before the ordinary council meeting.
Can I just ask, Councillor Boland, is that the purpose of that amendment to ensure that council has a agenda briefing always a week before we deal with the item?
That would be the effect of it, yes.
Okay. Are there any... okay, so first we need a seconder. So Councillor Boland moving that amendment. Is there a seconder? Councillor Muir? Are there any questions? Just before we get into it, is everyone clear about what this is saying? You have a question, Councillor?
I do have a question, yes. So what is the effect of this? It's okay, so with such a big agenda, some of the stuff we don't quite get right across the top of. So currently, what would happen with,
So the CEO is just looking at the policy right now, just to, so it's an addition to point, I thought it was 2C, but is it 2D? Yeah, be added.
It would be an extra...
It's an extra
D.
point.
And so anything else after that would be renumbered.
Just for purposes of clarification for council members,
Sorry.
we'll just pull up the, we'll just have we're going to get it up on the screen if you just be patient, councillors.
Right.
Yeah.
Sorry, there would be renumbering of the other, renumbering of D, E, F, G, H, I accordingly.
Okay, we'll just wait for it to come up on the screen. So councillors, I don't know if you can see that on the screen, but currently in the policy, it says briefing sessions and pre-meeting agenda review session should not be held on the day of an ordinary council meeting where it would involve a matter on the agenda for that OCM, unless there are exceptional circumstances such as urgent business or new information coming to hand since the previous briefing. So Councillor Boland's amendment is in addition to that to then address the pre-meeting agenda review to be held 1 week prior.
Yes. Speak to it now.
Okay, so let's just allow Councillor Boland to speak for that amendment. Councillor Earl, you have a question?
So isn't this de facto putting back what we took out last meeting? That we got rid of our agenda briefing sessions?
That's a public Q&A.
That was the public Q&A, but it's the same thing.
Councillor Earl, perhaps the CEO can confirm, can you, that we didn't have a pre-meeting agenda review session as terminology in the previous policy, is that correct?
That's right. We had the Q&A sessions, which we have removed, and instead adding the agenda review session.
Councillor Boland, if you could speak briefly to your amendment.
Yes. So when I read it and it said when we weren't going to hold them, I thought, well, when are we going to hold them? So then I went to look at the guidelines that we're referring to in our agenda item about how these sort of meetings should be held. It was saying that, I did quote it in what I sent around yesterday, the forum process, this would be a forum, the forum process is most successful in those local governments where forums are held on a regular basis, such as on the alternative weeks to the ordinary council meeting, where they held fortnightly, or a week before the ordinary council meeting. By setting the dates for forums well in advance, elected members, staff and the community can plan for their attendance. That's the end of the quote. So I wasn't quite clear on what we were suggesting about when we would be holding them. We're saying when we weren't, so I don't know whether you want to address that.
Okay, I'll just get the CEO to confirm that so we're all clear. Yep, thanks.
So the matter of scheduling, we will discuss with council to arrange a schedule that we believe meets council's requirement, community requirement, and allows us to produce an agenda, a final agenda, have the forum with council, and allow a little time after the agenda forum to answer any questions that might have had to have been taken on notice in the agenda forum. So in summary, I guess the policy sets a standard or a framework. The scheduling would follow.
Thank you. Thanks, CEO. So, Councillor Boland, I think you've spoken to your amendment. So, Councillor Muir, you seconded that, didn't you?
Question then, just in that regard. So if that was to happen then I guess the agenda would need to be published that week before as well to have that pre-meeting. Is there concern about whether that's always possible or how that might work? Would some flexibility around that be preferable? I guess that's my question.
So the current arrangement or scheduling, which does require an agenda to be published 2 weeks essentially before the council meeting, it's published as a draft. We go through the Q&A session and then a final agenda is produced. We're suggesting that instead of producing a draft agenda, we produce a final agenda and do so in sufficient time. So, I mean, the legislation says, I think, 72 hours, but we would certainly aim for, you know, the week or 8 days or so before the council meeting.
Okay, does anyone wish to speak against this amendment or for it?
Perhaps speak against it. I think this is just a little bit of overthinking. By default, the pre-meeting agenda is going to be the week before it. There's no other time to have it. So I just don't support that. I just think it's probably not necessary.
Thank you, Councillor Keno. Anyone else wish to speak? Okay, I'll just say that I don't actually think this amendment's necessary, in that the previous point 2C does say that the pre-meeting agenda reviews will be held. It says it's a kind of an anti-positive statement, but it's addressed without actually saying 7 days. But naturally, it would be the week before, and I'm okay with that in the policy. So, Councillor Boland, would you like right of reply?
It sounds like we're going to land with a meeting 7 days before the ordinary council meeting in any event, and I was referring back to the guidelines that we're using here to work out what our process is. So that's why I was coming up with this as a way that, to have that consistency, so that the public particularly the public, as an opportunity for public participation, so the public is aware that we will be holding those meetings a week before. So just trying to introduce that into the system now. I hear you're saying that looks like we'll probably be doing that anyway. Let's leave it up to other councillors how they feel about having it firm or not as firm.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Boland. That closes the debate on this. So let's vote for this amendment. Councillors, those in favour? Okay, that's lost Councillor Boland. So we go back to the officer's recommendation. And Councillor Binks vote to this, did you? Would you like to?
No, I'm happy to move the recommendation as it's written.
Okay, thanks, Councillor Binks. And Councillor Daff, would you like to speak to it? Yep, okay. Any other one? Councillor wish to speak against or for this item? I think we'll put it to the vote. Councillors, all those in favour? That's 6, and against 1. Councillor Boland against. Okay, councillors, we will now move into 11.3.5, list of payments for November 2024. Do I have a councillor to move? Councillor Binks, that officer's recommendation, and Councillor Keno. Councillor Binks?
I'll move it as written.
And Councillor Keno? If there's no one to speak against that, I'll put that to the vote. All those in favour? It's carried. Well, yep, that's carried unanimously. Thank you. We'll now move into 11.3.6, the Audit and Risk Management Committee meeting minutes on the 27th of November. Councillors, do I have someone to move a motion, please, in regards to this item? Councillor Daff and Councillor Boland to second, and that's the officer's recommendation. Councillor Daff, okay. Would you like to speak to that? No. Councillor Boland, would you like to speak to that?
Yes, just briefly, that something came out of that meeting that I put on the agenda for tonight, and we'll be coming to it at item 12. That's about the review of local laws. So I'm in favour of us passing this, but we'll address something a bit later on about what's
that's correct.
what's coming out of that meeting.
Yep. Anyone else wish to speak against or for this item? And we'll put it to the vote, councillors. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. We now go to 11.4.1, donation request from the South West Academy of Sport. Do I have a councillor to move a motion? Councillor Muir and Councillor Earl confirming that's the officer's recommendation as written. Councillor Muir?
No, thank you. I think I think this is a worthy donation, and I'm really pleased to see the number of young people and sporting people across our area which it has supported.
Thanks, Councillor Muir. Councillor Earl?
Yeah, I concur with those words. You know, we've significant young people from our district have gone up through the academy and on further, so well done to them. And yeah, very happy to support them.
Anyone else wish to speak for or against this item? We'll put it to the vote, councillors. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. We now go to 11.4.2, which is another donation. That's a donation request from the Lions Club of Quarama. Do I have a mover of this of a motion? Councillor Earl and a seconder. Councillor Binks. That's that we donate $2,000 to the Lions Club. And Councillor Earl, do you wish to speak to this?
I will, thanks, yes, and I very much support the donation to the Quarama Lions, who are a great organisation, doing great stuff, and they're effectively in the most of the northern part of the Shire. They've taken over the Australia Day events and run those with excellent crowd on an excellent location, and they do they certainly do a great job around Quarama, and we don't hear a lot from them. So that donation to them here, I think, is very well rewarded.
Thanks, Councillor Earl. Councillor Binks?
Yeah, I'd agree with everything Councillor Earl said. I'd like to add to it, though, that the Lions Club of Kawarmup are one of our many quiet achievers. So I think that this donation for the Australia Day celebration is well spent.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to speak for or against this item? No, we'll put it to the vote. All those in favour? It's carried unanimously. We now move into councillors 11.4.3, illegal camping item. Do I have a councillor? Yep, Councillor Muir, and I'm happy to second that motion. Thank you. Councillor Muir, this is the officer's recommendation. Yep.
I'm happy to move this as written, and I thank the Shire officers for their work on this wicked problem. Certainly there's a lot of observation and surveying to take place to, I guess, work out how we deal with this problem, and it's multifaceted, and I certainly think that the growth in our residential population has changed the landscape, and I think we need to think carefully about how we address these problems.
Thank you. Just briefly, councillors, I support this report. It's clearly a complicated topic, and as a top tourist destination and a certainly number one for the van culture life, it is one that we need to consider seriously. And I'm pleased to see the three outcomes here that we've come to. So yeah, I fully support this motion. Anyone else wish to speak? Yes, Councillor Earl.
Yeah, I'll speak in favour of the motion, and well done to Mr. Byrne for the work that he's done to try and work this out. This is a very difficult situation. I guess most of the complaints we get are from people who are down on the beach and can't get a parking spot because people park down there doing things that they're entitled to, which is park at the beach and go for a swim or whatever they like to do. But Councillor Muir alluded to the fact of our growing population, and we saw some stats today, they'll be in the report there somewhere, I expect, that the region gets 1.6 million visitors a year down here. Since in the length of the report, we've had 5,000 more people come to live in there. But if you multiply that by 365, you get about another 1.6 million people, which is so we've increased the amount of people potentially who can go to the beach or the other places, because they're here every day, by more than the actual visitors are coming and more than what we had before. So I suspect that most of the pressure that's being put on to our regional facilities is because of our growth here itself. It's not necessarily the tourists themselves, and we've got to stay very open and welcome to our tourists. So it's a challenge. I suspect the council in 10 years will probably be sitting here talking the same things.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to? Councillor Daff.
I'll be very quick, but it's just like to thank the administration for their work on this and all the different stakeholders that they engaged. It is a really complex issue and there's definitely not an easy solution to this. So I think this is a first good step. This is a good trial to do. And I'm really looking forward to seeing the outcomes of this trial, and the report back to council at the end of the season to see if it has actually helped the issue and what we can learn from it.
Thank you, Councillor. Anyone else wish to speak for this item? Councillor Keno.
Yeah, I support this motion. I don't think there's any right outcomes for this. I think it's always going to be a moving goalpost. But I guess with this one here, ultimately it boils down to respect. If people could respect our environment, they could respect the people that are living here already, and just respect our fire season, and so many other things. If we could get that level of respect from the people camping, it probably wouldn't be the issue that it is. But it's the legacy that they leave behind that creates the issue. So I'm grateful that we're doing what we can, but I don't think it's going to be the ultimate solution, unfortunately. Yeah.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to speak for this item or against? We'll put it to the vote, councillors. All those in favour? It's carried unanimously. Now move into item 12, motions from members of which previous notice has been given. And we have 12.1. Councillor Boland has a motion that was put forward 27th of November. It's there in front of us, councillors. Do we have a seconder for this motion? It appears there's no seconder for this motion. Yes, Councillor Daff?
There's no, reading through the officers' comments and stuff, it seems like there's already provision for this to happen in the committee, but also there's no time concern that there's receive a report from the CEO. There's been no timeline or anything given with it. So could we have a comment from the CEO on how she would proceed with this?
Okay, so the changes to the Act, changes to the legislation have provided the timeframes for compliance with the reviews of local laws. I can't tell you what those are. I believe it's that local law needs to be reviewed every 15 years, and we will have 2 years from the time the legislation is implemented within which to review our local laws. So that's the time frame we would follow. Is that your question?
Sorry, my question was about it's the motion is for council to receive a report from the CEO regarding this, but there's no time frame in that motion about how what kind of workload that looks like for you and the time that would take you. Your time spent on it, not, the government's.
Okay, so the report, in discussing it with the team that would carry out this or prepare the report, would be several hours worth of work to outline a process that is that we would follow. But more to the point, the process is actually outlined sufficiently in the Local Government Act, and to detail beyond that is probably delving into operational detail.
Okay. Are there any other questions? No. So, sorry, Councillor Boland, but if there's no seconder, we can't consider this motion. So, for want of a seconder, that motion is lapsed. So, we now move to motions for consideration at the next meeting, where there are none, and 14, councillors, is new business of an urgent nature. So we've all been provided that, I believe. Are you aware of this? But firstly, councillors, we need to move a procedural motion to actually accept it. And looks like Councillor Binks is going to move that, and Councillor Muir. There's no debate. So we vote that we receive it as urgent business. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. All right, we'll now consider that motion. So, Councillor Dath, you're moving that motion? Okay, it's on the screen there, councillors. Is there a...
Point of order, please.
Yes, sorry,
Are we
Councillor.
supposed to be behind closed doors?
Not for this one, we're not, no.
We've just moved a motion that this matter be dealt with behind closed doors.
No, this is, sorry, we're just receiving this as an item of urgent business. There's no need for it to be confidential, so it's okay. Yep. I need to provide some advice around it before it's debated. Okay, so councillors, I'll just ask for a seconder. Okay, Councillor Muir, now I'm going to allow the CEO to provide some advice in regards to this item, and then we can enter debate. Thanks.
Okay, so a process that to enable us to procure or secure this service would require a fair bit of administrative work, the scoping and establishing the deliverables for the project, seeking quotes and giving time for potential providers to provide a response to our scope of work, the evaluation of any offers that we get, and then the development of a contract or an agreement for the service. And I guess I would just like to point out to Council that while it might be possible for such a process to happen in the 2 weeks that remain before Christmas Day, is that having a limited time within which to do this just does present some practical considerations and some risks that I should highlight to Council. Given that we are entering in that last 2 weeks before Christmas, a number of organisations will be possibly not available and or having reduced capacity with less staff, as would the Shire. And given that there is it is such a reduced time frame to work with, there is a chance that there could be some error or oversight and in preparing such an arrangement, and a risk that there's a public perception if we're unable to attract a provider, or if we're not able to deliver a quality service in that time frame, there is a risk of reputational risk or financial risk to the Shire if the outcome isn't as good as we would if we could have delivered if we'd had a bit more time.
Thank you, CEO, for that advice. Councillor Dath, do you wish to speak to your motion?
Yeah, so there's been quite a few conversations today, and I fully understand the Shire administration's point, but I am making this request because this season is already shaping up to have unprecedented visitor numbers. I've received quite a lot of comment from community and witnessed myself firsthand how full our local beaches are already, and we're not even in peak season yet. 9 a.m. on a Tuesday morning and a Thursday morning, the car park was overflowing. People were parking dangerously. There was almost an altercation at the boat ramp. So I think that, there's increased traffic issues, fire risk, impact on emergency services access, and the big thing is the decrease of our own community's access to, our favourite natural resource that we have here, the beach, during peak season. The day use that we looked at today when discussing the camping is that, there's people spending a lot of time down there at the beach and making it harder for locals to access it. And that is because of not just the tourist increase in numbers, but definitely our population. And while we're already looking at redeveloping those car parks along the coast at some point, obviously that's not going to happen this year. Just a comment on the CEO's advice on the procedural motions. I realise about the public perception that if we don't manage to happen this on time period, I'm actually more confident that being proactive and trying to do something to make it happen now rather than being reactive if there is a major issue in January. And I do apologise for not making this request earlier. And I do take on the personal responsibility if it isn't successful. As a new councillor this year, I've learned a lot about procedure, and I've also learned an awful lot about the amazing, unseen and unrecognised work that our Shire admin do on a daily basis. So I'd like to take this opportunity to thank the administration for all the work that they've done on this in a very short period of one day that I've given them, and on everything that they do. So thank you.
Thanks, Councillor. Councillor Muir?
Thank you, and thank you to the CEO for your comments in this regard. I think it is recognised that we do need public transport, and we certainly are advocating for that. And I'm very cognisant of school holidays, and having a teenage son myself, I do understand that we need to somehow ensure access. To be honest, I'm slightly conflicted because I certainly don't want to add further workload. So I'm conflicted. Sorry. I'm not sure.
Does anyone else wish to speak against or for this item? Councillors? Councillor Keno?
Sorry, I'm probably going to speak against the motion. While I understand, Councillor Daff, that, this has been something that you've been very passionate about for a long time, my concerns are with comments that our CEO has made around the time frame that we have to get this happening. Do we get it right? Where does the money come from? And what price do we pay? Where did we take that money from? Because it's not in the budget now. And, I'd like to see it happening, but I'm just concerned that we're just pushing it through too fast, and that's when we make the most mistakes. So just for that reason, I'm not going to be supporting the motion this time.
Thanks, Councillor Keno. Do I have a councillor to speak for it?
I'll speak for it.
For it? Thanks, Councillor Earl.
Yeah, so look, I think God, that damn thing. I'll sit back here again. I think sometimes we do have to jump in and try these things because, I managed to get to the beach a couple of times over the weekend, and it was chockers. It was mostly backpackers back in and keeping us all out. And we're not going to get it at Quarramut Bay, but it's going to, if in any way it can relieve some of the pressure on down there, well, it'll be a good thing. I don't know what's been thought about charges, but if it happened to be out there free, it'd be even better. You'll get a lot more kids travelling in and out on it, which means their parents are not driving on the road and all that sort of stuff. I'm sure the CEO and the team down the back there will be able to manage. Well done if you do. Good on you.
Thanks, Councillor Earl. Do I have a councillor to speak against this motion or for it? Councillor Boland?
I'm just concerned that we're getting something at the very last minute. I know Councillor Darth has been passionate about this for a long time, and I think it was meritorious what happened last summer. And I was curious about where this was going because Councillor Darth has mentioned it to me and us, I think, on a number of occasions. But when I hadn't seen anything come through, I thought that it wasn't going to be put to us for this summer. And I really do see public transport of this sort as a state government responsibility. I know local governments can, but like for instance in Busselton, I believe that's state government funded as opposed to the Shire funding. I'm not quite sure of that. I don't know whether the CEO can enlighten us a bit more on that. And I'd like to know things like how well the service did last year, what income it generated, patronage, etc., etc. Just quite uncomfortable about this coming to us right at the very, without any notice, right at the very end of our last meeting of the year for something that happened so soon. So, I have quite a few concerns about it.
Okay, Councillor Boland. Councillor Binks.
Listen, I think that there are times when we have got to be able to respond quickly. One of my big frustrations about local government is that things go so slow sometimes. But we have the capacity, we have an amazing team of people, don't we, CEO, who I fully believe can pull this thing together and help to get the kids down to the beach, have a great summer, help people to be safe, and let the world know out there that this council isn't always fettered by process, that we can perform miracles when we need to. So, I support this, absolutely.
Thanks, Councillor Binks. That's everyone, isn't it? So, I'll conclude, councillors, in consideration of this, whilst we have a role to play in being responsive and responsible. We also are, I think, quite conscious of the fact that there is significant pressure on our coastal infrastructure. Is this the most appropriate response? I'm not sure. Maybe it is. Maybe it isn't. But, as the governing body for our community, how we respond to pressures and issues when they are right in front of us is, determines if we succeed or not in addressing the issue. Clearly, we've got a long-term and ongoing issue there with this rapid population growth and tourism numbers, and we have a plan to improve that coastal infrastructure there. I would like for the state government to seriously consider some form of public transport for regions like ours that are experiencing exponential population growth, particularly when they're playing a part in that growth. So this is putting pressure on the staff 14 days before Christmas, which I feel regrettable about. But I also I know they're very capable of pulling stuff together. So let's put this to the vote, councillors.
Can I just ask one question before?
You can.
Is that allowed? Yeah.
Yes, you can ask a question.
Is it too late to seek to have an amendment to this so that we get a report back which gives us information about its effectiveness? Post-event, do you mean? If that's, Councillor Duff, are you accepting of that? And Councillor Muir? A brief report. Yeah, a little report. Yeah, not time consuming. Righto, councillors, let's put this to the vote. All those in favour? Okay, that's 5-4, and those against is Councillor Keno and Councillor Boland. Councillors,
Okay, councillors, we now move into item 15. Now, this is confidential business. I have a procedural motion that we need to go behind doors. So I have Councillor Earl to move that, Councillor Dath to second. We'll put that to the vote, councillors. All those in favour of that procedural motion? That's carried. Thank you, folks, for exiting. back in. He's like Margaret. Okay, we're now, come back to business, and the officer's recommendation there that council voted is on the screen, which was the officer's recommendation for your information. As written in the agenda, I'm not sure if you saw it, but it was to uphold the officer's decision to not award the permit at Rivermouth, dismiss the objection, and also to liaise with OEG to try and find a mutual suitable alternative site. Okay, councillors, just finally before I close this meeting, I just want to wish you all a Merry Christmas. Even though we're going to be seeing each other in a minute. But, you know, thank you for all your contribution for the year of 2024. It's been a busy one, a significant one. And thank you, of course, to all the officers for all the support and advice that you provide to us in our decision making. So thank you. All right, I'll close the meeting at 11:20. At 8:32. Let's go there promptly to the river. Thanks.